Find your own fire in every day, a powerful motivational message. Let me tell you something about motivation that nobody wants to hear. Motivation is bullshit. Motivation is temporary. It's a feeling. And feelings come and go like the weather. One day you're motivated, next day you're not. If you're waiting to feel like it, you're done before you even started. This world doesn't care if you feel like it. The world only cares what you bring to the table. That's it. The world only cares about results. Results don't care if you're motivated or not. Results don't care if you slept well last night. Results don't care if you had a bad day. The problem with most people is they confuse motivation with commitment. You see, commitment isn't a feeling. Commitment is a decision that you make every single day. It's a decision to show up when you don't want to. It's a decision to keep going when every part of you wants to quit. I don't wake up every day feeling like running 10 miles, but I've committed to being uncomfortable. I've committed to growth. And growth lives on the other side of comfort. I meet people all the time who tell me I want to change my life, and I look at them and say, no, you don't. What you want is comfort. What you want is an easy way. There is no easy way. The transformation you're seeking requires you to become someone new, and becoming someone new is painful. It means killing the old version of yourself. It means doing what that old version of you could never do. Do you know why most people never change? Because they are not willing to sit in the discomfort. They're not willing to face themselves. You need to get to a point in your life where you're willing to have a real conversation with yourself. Not the candy-coated version that makes you feel good. I'm talking about the raw, unfiltered truth about who you really are and who you've been. That conversation will hurt. That conversation will make you uncomfortable. But that conversation will set you free. All of us have a story about why we can't lose weight, why we can't get that job, why we can't have that relationship. And we tell ourselves that story over and over again until we believe it. Your story might be true, but I promise you it's not complete, because there are people with worse stories who have done more with less. So your story, while it may be real, cannot be your excuse. When I was 300 pounds, depressed, working as an exterminator, I had every excuse in the world. I had learning disabilities, I had an abusive father, I was broke, I was overweight, I was afraid. But at some point I had to ask myself, if I keep using these excuses, where will I be in 5 years, in 10 years? And the answer scared the hell out of me, because I knew the answer was exactly where I am right now, or worse. So I made a decision. I decided my excuses might be real, but they would no longer be my reality. I decided to create a new identity. Not based on what happened to me, but based on what I was going to make happen. That's what I'm asking you to do today. Make that same decision. Decide that your current situation is not your final destination. But here's where it gets real. Making that decision is just step one. Now you have to back it up with action. Massive, consistent, uncomfortable action. You need to be willing to do what others won't. When everyone else is sleeping, you're working. When everyone else is partying, you're preparing. When everyone else is quitting, you're just getting started. This is where the real separation happens. Everyone wants change, everyone wants transformation, but only a small percentage are willing to put in the work day after day, especially when they don't see immediate results. That's why most people quit. They want the destination without the journey. They want the trophy without the pain. It doesn't work that way. You need to fall in love with the process. You need to find joy in the struggle. The struggle is where you grow. The struggle is where you find out who you really are. The struggle is where you build your mental calluses. Those calluses don't come from comfort. They come from pushing past what you thought was possible. I remember the first time I ran an ultramarathon. I wasn't a runner. I'd never even run a regular marathon, but I signed up for a 100-mile race because I knew it would push me to my absolute limits. And it did. Around mile 70, my body was shutting down. I was peeing blood. My feet were covered in blisters. Every step was agony. But in that moment, I had a choice. I could listen to my body and stop, or I could listen to my mind and continue. And that's when I realized something profound. My body can do almost anything I convince my mind is possible. So I kept going, step by painful step. And when I crossed that finish line, I wasn't just a different runner, I was a different human being. That's what I want for you. I want you to find your own ultra. I want you to find something that scares you so much that you have no idea how you'll accomplish it. And then I want you to do it anyway, not because it will be easy, but because it will be hard. Not because you know you can, but because you're not sure if you can. That uncertainty, that fear, that's where growth lives. But here's the thing about growth. It's never comfortable. Think about a muscle. How does a muscle grow? It grows by being torn down and rebuilt. It grows through stress and recovery. Your mind works the same way. It needs to be stressed. It needs to be challenged. It needs to be torn down so it can be rebuilt stronger. Most people never reach their potential because they're not willing to be uncomfortable. They're not willing to be embarrassed. They're not willing to fail. But failure isn't the end. Failure is the beginning. Failure is the greatest teacher if you're willing to learn from it. I failed more times than I can count. Failed Navy SEAL training 3 times before I passed. Failed relationships. Failed businesses. But each failure taught me something about myself. Each failure made me stronger. Each failure brought me closer to who I needed to become. So don't fear failure. Fear being in the same place next year as you are today. Fear regret. Fear looking back on your life and wondering what if. That's the real failure. Not trying and coming up short. Real failure is never trying at all. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be present. Present in your struggle. Present in your growth, present in your life. Don't wish away the hard times. The hard times are making you. The hard times are shaping you. The hard times are preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Every day your mind is telling you stories. Stories about what you can and cannot do. Stories about what's possible and what's not. But here's the thing. You get to choose which stories you believe. I chose to believe that I could change my life. I chose to believe that my past did not dictate my future. I chose to believe that I was capable of more than I had ever demonstrated. And those beliefs changed everything for me. What do you believe about yourself? What stories are you telling yourself? Because I promise you, those stories are creating your reality. If you believe you're weak, you'll act weak. If you believe you're strong, you'll act strong. If you believe you're a victim, you'll live like a victim. If you believe you're a warrior, you'll live like a warrior. So change your story, change what you believe is possible, and then back up that belief with action. Massive, consistent, uncomfortable action, because beliefs without action are just wishes. And wishes don't change lives, actions do. You need to be willing to do what others won't. You need to be willing to sacrifice what others won't. You need to be willing to suffer what others won't. Because if you're willing to do for a few years what others won't, you can live the rest of your life like others can't. That's the trade-off, that's the deal. Short-term discomfort for long-term freedom, short-term sacrifice for long-term fulfillment. But most people aren't willing to make that trade. They want instant gratification. They want the easy way. They want what they want when they want it. But true transformation doesn't work that way. True transformation takes time. It takes patience. It takes persistence. It takes showing up day after day, especially on the days when you don't feel like it, especially on the days when you don't see results, especially on the days when everyone around you thinks you're crazy. I've been called crazy more times than I can count. Crazy for running ultramarathons, crazy for doing thousands of pull-ups in a day, crazy for pushing my body and mind to their limits. But what others call crazy, I call necessary. Necessary for growth, necessary for transformation, necessary for becoming who I'm capable of becoming. And that's what I want for you. I want you to become who you're capable of becoming. Not a watered-down version that makes others comfortable. Not a limited version that society says is acceptable. I want you to become the fullest expression of yourself. The strongest version, the most resilient version, the version that doesn't back down from a challenge but rises to meet it. But that version of you won't just appear. That version of you has to be created day by day, decision by decision, action by action. It's created in the early mornings when you choose the workout over more sleep. It's created in the late nights when you choose study over entertainment. It's created in the moments when you choose discipline over convenience. That's how transformation happens. Not in grand sweeping moments, but in small, consistent choices that compound over time. The choice to do one more rep when your body says you can't. The choice to read one more page when your mind wants to quit. The choice to be honest with yourself when it would be easier to lie. You see, most people lie to themselves. They tell themselves they're giving their all when they're only giving a fraction. They tell themselves they can't when they haven't even tried. They tell themselves they'll start tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, but tomorrow becomes never, and potential becomes regret. I don't want that for you. I want you to look back on your life with pride, not regret. I want you to know that you gave everything you had, that you left nothing on the table, that you squeezed every ounce of potential from yourself. But that kind of life requires courage. It requires the courage to face yourself, to face your fears, to face your limitations, and then to push past them. It requires the courage to be different, to stand out, to go against the grain. Most people live their lives trying to fit in, trying to be accepted, trying to be liked, but exceptional lives aren't lived by fitting in. They're lived by standing out, by being willing to be different, by being willing to be misunderstood. I've been misunderstood my entire life. When I started running ultramarathons, people didn't get it. When I started doing thousands of pull-ups, people didn't get it. When I started pushing myself beyond what most thought was possible, people didn't get it. But I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for me. I was doing it because I needed to find out what I was made of. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Find out what you're made of. Push beyond what you think is possible. Push beyond what others think is possible for you. Because the truth is, most of us are operating at about 40% of our capacity. We think we're giving our all, but we're not even close. And I know this because I've been there. I've thought I was at my limit, only to find that I had so much more to give. I've thought I was broken, only to find that I was just beginning. I've thought I couldn't go on, only to find that I was just getting started. Your mind will always quit before your body, always. Your mind will tell you that you can't when you can. It will tell you to stop when you need to continue. It will tell you to settle when you need to push. Don't listen to that voice. That voice doesn't want what's best for you. That voice wants what's easy for you. But easy doesn't build strength. Easy doesn't build character. Easy doesn't build the life you're capable of living. Hard does. Uncomfortable does. Challenging does. So seek out the hard. Seek out the uncomfortable. Seek out the challenging. That's where growth lives. That's where transformation happens. That's where you become who you're capable of becoming. But here's the thing about transformation. It's never a straight line. It's messy. It's complicated. It involves setbacks and failures and moments of doubt. But those setbacks, those failures, those moments of doubt, they're not the end of your journey. They're part of your journey. I've had more setbacks than I can count, more failures than I care to admit, more moments of doubt than anyone would believe. But I've learned to use those setbacks as fuel. I've learned to use those failures as lessons. I've learned to use those moments of doubt as opportunities to prove myself wrong. That's what resilience is. It's not about never falling. It's about rising every time you fall. It's not about never failing. It's about using failure as a stepping stone. It's not about never doubting. It's about acting in the face of doubt. Most people let their doubts define them. They let their fears control them. They let their limitations confine them. But you're not most people. You're here because you want more. You're here because you believe more is possible. You're here because something inside you knows you're capable of more than you've shown so far. And you're right, you are capable of more, so much more, but that capability won't manifest itself. You have to draw it out. You have to challenge it. You have to test it. You have to push beyond what you think is possible. That's what I did. I pushed beyond what I thought was possible for me. I pushed beyond what others thought was possible for me. And in doing so, I discovered that the limits I had placed on myself were imaginary. They were self-imposed. They were based on fear, not fact. The same is true for you. The limits you've placed on yourself are imaginary. They're self-imposed. They're based on fear, not fact. But the only way to discover that is to push beyond them, to challenge them, to test them. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to push beyond your perceived limits? Are you willing to challenge your own assumptions about what's possible for you? Because if you are, a whole new world of possibility opens up. But it won't be easy. Nothing worth having ever is. It will require sacrifice. It will require struggle. It will require suffering. But on the other side of that sacrifice, that struggle, that suffering, is a version of yourself that you can be proud of. A version that knows its own strength. A version that fears no challenge. A version that lives without regret. That's the version of yourself that's waiting on the other side of your comfort zone. That's the version that's waiting on the other side of your fear. That's the version that's waiting on the other side of your doubt. But you can't reach that version by staying where you are. You can't reach that version by doing what you've always done. You can't reach that version by thinking what you've always thought. You have to change. You have to grow. You have to evolve. And that starts with a decision. A decision to no longer be defined by your past. A decision to no longer be limited by your fears. A decision to no longer be constrained by the expectations of others. Make that decision today, right now. Decide that from this moment forward you will live with purpose. You will live with passion. You will live with intensity. Decide that from this moment forward you will no longer settle for less than you're capable of. But remember, that decision is just the beginning. It must be followed by action, consistent, persistent, relentless action. Because decisions without actions are just intentions, and intentions don't change lives. Actions do. So what action will you take today? What step will you take toward becoming the person you're capable of becoming? It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It can be a small step, but it must be a step forward. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier tomorrow to work on your goals. Maybe it's having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's pushing past your comfort zone in your next workout. Whatever it is, take that step, and then take another, and before you know it, you'll be living a life that once seemed impossible. Because here's the truth. Nothing is impossible for the person who refuses to quit. Nothing is impossible for the person who sees failure not as the end, but as part of the process. Nothing is impossible for the person who believes that they are capable of more than they've shown so far. And you are that person. You are capable of more than you've shown so far. You are capable of more than you believe is possible. You are capable of more than others believe is possible for you. But you have to prove it. Not to me, not to anyone else. To yourself. You have to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses, that you are bigger than your fears, that you are more powerful than your doubts. And the only way to prove that is to face your excuses, your fears, your doubts head on, to challenge them, to test them, to push beyond them. That's how you discover your true strength. That's how you discover your true capacity. That's how you discover who you really are. So I'm challenging you today. Challenge yourself, push yourself, test yourself. And in doing so, discover the truth about yourself. The truth that you are capable of far more than you've demonstrated so far. The truth that your potential is far greater than your performance to date. The truth that your future is not limited by your past. That's my message to you today. Not that it will be easy, but that it will be worth it. Not that you won't struggle, but that the struggle will make you stronger. Not that you won't face obstacles, but that you have the power to overcome them. You have that power. You've always had that power, but now it's time to use it. It's time to tap into it. It's time to unleash it, because the world needs what you have to offer. The world needs your strength, your courage, your resilience. The world needs the best version of you. So go create that version. Go become that person. Go live that life. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday. Today, right now. Because this is your moment. This is your time. This is your life. Don't waste it being less than you're capable of being. Stay hard. Find your own fire. You're unstoppable. Spread the hoe, subscribe and